Hi, hello, welcome. I am Sneezy Ferret, and today I'm going to do a breakdown of 4 different species of stick insect that I happen to have. Now, I've chosen these 4 because each one of them has different care dependent on egg, nymph, and adult stages. So it'll be things like either their husbandry or how they lay eggs. So let's get into it. There we go. So the first species that I'm showing today are black beauties. This is a female. She is not quite an adult. She's got one more molt to do. She doesn't, obviously she's camera shy. Oh. No, I've got her. There we go. She's also a little bit anxious, so I'm going to put her back.
So, black beauties.
Yep.
Where do they come from? What country?
Peru.
Oh, okay.
So black beauties are a very interesting species because they have such a small habitat of just 5 hectares. This here is a male. You see how it's a lot more streamlined. He also has, like the female does, non-usable but small wing buds that he can flash, which are bright red when he's anxious. Hence why I put the female back. Oh, and he's just put his up too. No, and they're back down. You just see them flashing just a little bit there. I'm going to pop him back and then I'll explain. He is on the microphone. Come here. Perfect, there we go. You just stay there for a minute while I talk. He can't fly away, so it's brilliant. So, hello. Never work with animals, they say. Come here and I'll pop you back. Come on, it's okay. Good boy.
So, what's his diet?
So, these ones in the wild eat something a little different. 1 second. But in captivity, they do really well on privet. And, yeah, that's what I feed mine on privet. Now, this particular species are probably one of the greatest beginner species, mainly because of the lack of work you have to do. They don't need as much water as most species. The eggs themselves don't actually need to be kept in a damp environment. In fact, for the black beauties, they're kept in a pop-up mesh enclosure to make sure they've got good airflow. And the eggs I allow just to fall on the bottom. Dead privet leaves then cover them. And I just leave them in there. Mainly because I don't sell the eggs, I actually just sell the live nymphs. They travel really, really well, unlike a lot of species. And yeah, they're incredibly friendly. They can produce a noxious substance if you really harass them, but I've never had that problem. So yeah, there are a couple of species of insect which reproduce via parthenogenesis, so only need the female to produce. And one of them, this will be a bonus insect, is called a Colombian goldwing, which I'm just going to get out. So 1 minute. So this is my Colombian goldwing. I've got to be very careful with her because she is very good at actually flying, and she does have wings, which are a bright gold colour, which I will try to see if I can open up in a minute. Now, generally this species has males and females and will produce with males. Now, I am lucky enough that I've managed to, after many generations, produce a it's not parthenogenic. Why am I using the wrong words? Either way, my brain's not working. I need to concentrate on her. She can lay eggs which are unfertilized, but will hatch into other females. They are, well, replicants of herself. She is absolutely stunning. She is coming to the end of her life, so I had to do just a mass harvesting of her eggs so that I can continue her species. She's so old, bless her. She's, let me see if I can open those wings. Give me 1 second, but I don't want to obviously irritate her, so can I just open them up a little bit so we can show people? Would that be okay? She's kind of used to being handled, so she might be. Oh, didn't I manage to get any of that?
No, you're blocking with the mic.
There we go. So she's absolutely stunning. Yeah, she's I love her. She's taken so much work, bless her. And I say she because she's just a replication of her mother and her mother before her. She is my 6th generation now of just replicant females. When I first brought these in, I had both female and male nymphs. And then, well, the weird thing is that her great-great-great-great-grandmother managed to get locked into an enclosure with the black beauties. They both eat privet, and she managed to just climb in there one day. And after a little while, I noticed there were some eggs in there. Managed to hatch them. They were all female. Kept them separate. They laid eggs. And yeah, all female. Sorry, I'm stunned by just how pretty her wings are. Can I see if I can just open them one more time? I just don't want her to fly away or irritate or harm her in any way. Her wings are in perfect condition. There's no... There we go. Right then, let's pop you away and go to the next species. So this species here is a Macleay's stick insect. They come from Australia. Now this little girl I should say, she is a nymph. Second instar, I honestly can't remember. She is not fully grown. She is literally... Hold on, let me see if I can get her close up of her. The reason being is I don't have any adults of her at the moment because of how I cycle the insects. Now she will grow up to be about... Any camera, are you going to focus? No. There we go. So they grow to about 8 times bigger than this. The reason I don't have adults is I have so many species, around 15. I've got 2 new ones, so 17. And if I was to have all of them at adults at one point, I'd have masses of enclosures, and I've only got so much space. So what I do is, on occasions for some species, I'll only ever have always I'll have eggs, but sometimes I won't have adults and nymphs because there'll be a few months before they hatch. Yeah, so I have nymphs and eggs at the moment.
So can I ask a question?
Yep.
Why do they wave like that?
It's their way of like pretending to be a leaf. Yeah, they just like pretending to be leaves. There's some of these that if you put them in a mossy enclosure, they will appear kind of green and everything, which is green and white, which is wonderful. I don't bother with that, to be honest.
How many colour variations can they achieve?
Well, each one of them is generally quite different. I have some which appear more green, some which appear more brown. This girl here will probably end up being a dark brown. Still very pretty, but yeah.
I presume she lives in some form of jungle environment.
Well, it's Australia, so no, high up in the treetops, but
Okay.
yeah. Now, these guys eat bramble. They do eat a few other things as well, like rose leaves and stuff. I'm going to pop her back and then I'm going to explain why I'm using her as an example of particular care. So, Macleay's is annoying. That's the reason why I don't always have adults, is because the nymphs need very particular care. See, I hate to call any insect dumb, but they're dumb. The problem is that if you put them on a plant as nymphs and even a tiny part of that plant is touching the enclosure, they will wander off the plant and get lost. No matter how big the plant is, they will get lost and they will die. And it's annoying. So what you end up having to do, at least what I do, is I have a tiny pop-up enclosure about that big that I fill with as much bramble as I can. So the chances of them climbing off of it and not being able to find their way back on are minimal. Even then, I will still lose some. And that's the reason why I don't deal with nymphs all the time, because when you've got as many species as me, having to give each one of them that much hands-on care, it takes forever. And although I do have help from my husband, I am a one-man band pretty much. About right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're annoying.
So would you say that these are the escape artists of the group?
I won't say escape artists, I'd just say the most suicide... I can't say that. The most... Self-deleting insect that I have. Along with leaf insects. I don't have any leaf insects at the moment to show, but leaf insects are notoriously bad for trying to keep them alive as nymphs. Once they've all... And this goes for the Macleay's too. Once they've gone through that first molt, that first shed, they're pretty hardy. And they'll probably do absolutely fine. But those first couple of weeks, getting them to have their first meal, especially leaf insects, is impossible. With leaf insects, you could put them in the best enclosure in the world. You could blow on them to mimic wind to try and get them to eat, but sometimes they just refuse. Anyway, on to next species. So, this is a green bean or lime stick insect. They have quite a few names. I'll put them up on the screen in a minute. As you can see, she's quite big. I would suggest this as a very, very good beginner species, even though she's quite big. The males can fly. I don't have any males at the moment because the females live a lot longer because the males generally hatch quicker. It's an odd one. and they are cycled just a little bit. Yeah, okay, let's see if I can get a close up so you can see her. There we go. I think they're absolutely pretty. So the females do have wing buds but cannot fly. The males can, and they can fly quite well. The reason why I suggest these ones as a good starter is because they are just so damn hardy. The nymphs are really good at staying on the plants and actually taking their first meal really quickly. They grow very, very quickly, meaning that you don't have to deal with tiny baby stick insects, baby nymphs, for as long a period of time, because they are quite small when they hatch, although quite big considering egg sizes. I think most people will be quite amazed at just how big the nymphs are in consideration to their eggs. They look like it's impossible for them to be that big, but they are. You're very pretty, aren't you?
So, why do I get the feeling that this one's a little bit more ferocious than the rest?
She's not. Green beans are so docile, and they really don't mind being handled. I've never been bitten or pinched by any of my insects.
So, I forgot my question.
Another reason why they're really easy to keep is that their eggs, they just chuck them. So you just pick them up, and they are quite easy to differentiate between their poop. So yeah, that's useful. Their poop called frass.
So is this the biggest form of stick insect in the world?
No, not even close. Not even body size close. So the largest, well, the heaviest stick insect in the world is a jungle nymph. And I mean that's their name, not just the stage of their life cycle. They are absolutely massive. Unfortunately, my last adult jungle nymph passed away just a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't quick enough to actually get her on camera, which is quite sad. But yeah, they live for a very long time. She lived for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was
easy.
Yeah. These guys. So this batch of adults, I think, are about 1.5 years old. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
So again, is it just the green coloration?
Yeah. Yeah, the males aren't. The males are a lot smaller, about half the size in length. They also have wings, and they're brown. So yeah, again, very good starter and beginner one, mainly because they're large and impressive, but also really docile, non-aggressive, and they don't mind being held. Although you have to hold them incredibly gently because, well, they're insects. So I'm just going to pop her back, and then I'll explain a few more things about her. So the green bean stick insect, again, lives on bramble, and is very happy to. They are, although that they lay a lot of eggs, their hatch time is a little more, so 6 to 9 months, meaning you're not as likely to become overwhelmed with them. See, the worst beginner species there is the one which unfortunately is the most common, which is the Indian stick insect. Do not get them for your children. One pair can become hundreds very, very quickly, and you can become just overwhelmed with them. Now, my suggestion for getting rid of excess eggs is freezing. That might seem cruel, but I mean, I don't really think so, but it might seem that way. I will remind you, though, that the worst possible thing, which is a lot more cruel, is having an enclosure with way too many in them, because they will turn to eating each other. I've never had that problem, but I have heard of problems like that and seen videos like that, which horrify me more because you can hear it and it's disturbing. Never keep hundreds of species in one small enclosure. Just because they're insects, it doesn't mean that they don't deserve good care. So, yeah, don't buy Indian stick insects for your kids. Get one like that. They're easier to deal with. Next species. Okay, so this species here is called Tracheriton. I probably pronounced that incorrectly. And I will put up the full names on the screen, so you've probably already been seeing that. I'm hoping that she'll... Come on, camera. Can we see her properly? That would be lovely. There we go, sort of. She's doing a lot of wiggling. They do that when they're unhappy. She's okay. So this is a brand new adult She had her molt, I think, the day before yesterday. So she's now in with all the rest of the adults. I know that because there's only 4 adults in there at the moment. They're all females, and they lay without mating. And now the reason why I picked this one to showcase is because of how she lays her eggs. So these guys, you can see that long ovipositor there in the back. So how they lay their eggs, kind of, maybe. That little spiky thing. These guys, if I can get her back in frame, that would be wonderful. Come on, sweetheart. I'll put you back in 2 seconds. There we go. So these guys lay their eggs in substrate. They don't just drop them or throw them. Now, I have a... Alright, sweetheart, I think you're done with us, aren't you? Alright, we'll put you back. You've been out for quite a while. Come here. Oh, come up to my face. Up to you. He's a good girl. Can I give it to you a minute?
Yep.
She just goes in the main big enclosure.
Bottom part?
That's right, yeah. What I do in regards to their care is substrate I found quite irritating to deal with because of just the sheer amount. So I managed to get them used to, and they seem to prefer it when I gave them a bowl of substrate and some loosely bound puppy pads. Non-chemical puppy pads, but what they'll do is just poke them in. How do I put this? The different threads are far enough apart that she can stick her ovipositor into, and it doesn't do any damage. I tested that a couple of years ago, and it works better. She seems to prefer, well, they seem to prefer not to getting dirty, preferring to lay them in a puppy pad. Then what I do is I just take the puppy pad out, slice it up, take out all the eggs, and yeah. So there's a few different species that lay in substrate. There are also a couple of species that I don't have that actually bond their eggs to different surfaces, sometimes the stems of plants, and sometimes to the actual enclosure itself. So that was a video of just 4 with 1 bonus insects that I have. I have a lot. So I can do more of these videos if you enjoy it. Please like if you enjoy it even more. Wouldn't mind a subscription. And maybe next time I'll introduce you to the giant millipedes. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.